Hello and welcome. I'm Karen Brook, and we are here for another cup of tea and a conversation. I want to start off by asking you a couple of questions. How often do you think about going for a breakthrough in your business or in your career? Like really going for a breakthrough, not just ticking along with the same kind of results month in, month out, year on, year out, really going for a breakthrough. How often do you consider doing that? And then the second question I want you to think about is, how often do you consider the risks that might be involved with going for a breakthrough? The opportunity that you might have if you took some of those risks, but also the failures that you might have if you acted on some of those risks. How much time do you really invest thinking about that? Well, that's what I want to talk to you about today. If you follow me on YouTube, I want to draw your attention to a reading club series that I have on YouTube. And it's for a book called U Squared, written by Price Pritchett. Now, I don't have that particular book on me right now to talk to you, but I have gone through the entire book with you on YouTube, and I recommend that you go and study it. You go and watch that reading club series. It's a book written by Price Pritchett, How to Really Multiply Your Personal Effectiveness in Quantum Leaps. Now, he wrote a sequel to that book called The Quantum Leap Strategy. And I'm going to read a little part out of this book with you today because it speaks to this concept of risk and choosing the sort of risks that you're willing to take and the risks that you're not willing to take. And really thinking about that concept in terms of risk and relate it to you, your business, your career, your industry. It's very, very powerful. Now, sometimes with these two books, I should get the U Squared book. Bear with me, I'll just grab it. So this is actually look, I've got two of these. They've fallen out of the cupboards. I've got these lying around everywhere. This is what it looks like, the U Squared book. So if you go to my YouTube channel, you will find an entire reading club series on this book that you can listen to, that you can watch, that you can work with. I highly recommend it. Now, he wrote a sequel to that book called The Quantum Leap Strategy. And every now and again, when I walk past these books on my bedside table, I'll just pick them up and I'll ask for guidance and say, what's the little take-home message for today? Or, you know, what do I have to think about tomorrow when I wake up in the morning? And I'll just think about opening it up to a page, or I'll ask for guidance on what page number. And so I did this last night. And actually, when I was putting my little 3-month-old baby to bed and I read him, I picked up the book. It was on my bedside table. And I went, oh, what page should I read? And 18, no, first of all, 42 popped up. And I was like, well, 42 is not in the book. And what's the next number? 18. And it was a chapter on choose a different set of risks. And I've turned to this page a couple of times now in the past week when I have done that, asked for guidance. So I thought, well, there's something in this then for me to share with you. And so that's what I'm going to do today. I'm actually going to read you this 3 pages out of this book, and we're going to talk a little bit about it in relation to where you're at and the decisions that you need to make to move yourself forward for that breakthrough, to really create that breakthrough opportunity for yourself in your business, in your career, in your industry. So let's start here. He says, choose a different set of risks. Well, first of all, he poses a question. What do you have to lose? What do you have to lose if you risk going for a quantum leap? So I want you to start to think about, what do you risk losing if you actually go for a quantum leap? Because probably there's some beliefs and ideas and some limitation and some fear and some doubt and some worry playing out in your conscious mind at the moment that's impressing upon your subconscious mind, that's making you feel these sort of emotions. That's perhaps holding you back from a really big opportunity right now in your life. So when you start to think about this, you've probably got a lot more to gain by going after the things that you want and following that quiet voice within than you do to lose. Except when you focus on what you have to lose, it becomes very, very big and prevalent in your life. And then we fail to see the opportunities, or we fail to see the stepping stones that could really lead to the breakthrough. So anyway, let's have a read of this. How does that sound? Have you all got your cup of tea? You're ready to just sit down and have a think, create a little bit of white space in your day? Let's start. So choose a different set of risks. A quantum leap, like virtually everything else in life, it does involve risks. Making the jump from U to U squared, though, ordinarily feels much riskier than your routine habitual behaviors. Let me say that again. Making the jump from U to U squared, right? Multiplying your effectiveness, going for the breakthrough, creating more with less. This is what we're talking about here. Ordinarily feels much riskier than your routine habitual behaviors. Actually, all you're doing is taking a different chance. Don't confuse different with bigger. You can make a big jump in your performance without getting reckless. The performance breakthrough to U squared doesn't call for hazardous action on your part. Sure, the novel, unfamiliar risks make you feel more vulnerable, more exposed to trouble. But that's just a feeling, not a fact. The quantum leap strategy calls for changes in your behavior. That's true, but the necessary changes may actually be safer. The unconventional approach you will need to pursue should not be dangerous, just different. Every day we inhibit ourselves. Instead of, let me just actually say that sentence again. Every day we inhibit ourselves. Every day we inhibit ourselves. Every day we inhibit ourselves. Instead of risking something new, we're prone to live with the old familiar risks we've been accepting so long that we are oblivious to them. You become so oblivious that there are these things that are actually holding you back because it becomes your status quo. You become so comfortable with living like that. Such an unwillingness to accept another set of risks means we're trapped, hemmed in by habits, presuming we're playing it safe when we're merely avoiding the unfamiliar. Now, let me say that sentence again. That's extremely powerful. This could be very life-changing for you right now. Such an unwillingness to accept another set of risks means we're trapped, right? You're not willing to accept a new set of risks that actually could lead to the breakthrough opportunity that you've been looking for, which means you're trapped. You're hemmed in by habits, presuming you're playing it safe, when in fact you're merely avoiding the unfamiliar. And why would you do that? Why would you avoid the unfamiliar? Because it's uncomfortable, because it's something new and different. So you are programmed to continue to operate the way you've been already operating because you know it well. Even when you could step out and make a new decision, make a new investment, step forward into an opportunity, it's unlikely that you will do that without courage, without determination, without focus, without a dose of bravery at that moment that you go to do it, because you'd rather be comfortable than be uncomfortable in the unfamiliar territory that will actually create the breakthrough opportunity for you. Making sense so far? Instead of reaching for what we want most, we often think, I might not be able to reach it. So we guarantee we'll not get it by holding back. Now, let me say this again. Instead of reaching for what you want most, you think, I might not be able to reach it. So you guarantee you won't get it by holding back. Now, you've been doing this your whole life, whether you've really thought of it like that or not. You have been doing this. There are things that you want in your life right now. Am I correct? Am I right? There are goals, there are dreams, there are desires that you have in your heart. But a part of you says, I might not be able to get there. I might not be able to have it. What if I fail? So you guarantee it by holding back. You don't pursue it. You don't pursue the dream in your heart. You hold back. Considering that we might not be able to pull it off successfully, we don't even make the attempt. Now think about this. You might want to even pause this when you come back to the recording and answer that question for yourself. Considering you might not be able to pull it off successfully, you don't even make the attempt. What have you held off on going for because you're scared of failure? I want you to just do some journaling around this. Ask yourself this question. You've considered you might not be able to pull it off, so I better not even try. Where in your life have you found yourself thinking like that? And just make some notes on it. There seems to be some kind of naive psychological safety we find in not trying, as if that insulates us from the discomfort, pain, or embarrassment of falling short in our efforts. I mean, this is good. Let me say that again. There seems to be some kind of naive psychological safety we find in not trying, as if that insulates us from the discomfort, pain, or embarrassment of falling short in our efforts. Now, I think I'm pretty well placed to comment on this because I'm very privileged to have hundreds of thousands of conversations with people every year. And only a very small percentage of those people really move on to make it happen. Most people play it safe. Most people don't bet on themselves. Most people, maybe you, fail to invest in yourself, to go after what you really want because you think it's safer to hold back. I implore you today to get rid of that kind of behavior and really bet on yourself. Choose a new set of risks. Risk believing that you can accomplish what you want. Risk believing that you're worth it. Risk believing that you are capable, that you have the power and the potential and the abilities within you right now to create anything that you want. He says here, there seems to be some naive psychological safety we find in not trying. We insulate ourselves. We think, well, it's safer. I don't have to worry about what my family might say to me if I fail at this business, or I won't go after that job or put my hat in the ring for it because they'll probably think I'm silly. Someone will laugh at me for thinking that I could get that sort of job, so I won't even apply for it, right? This plays out so often. It insulates us from the discomfort, pain, or embarrassment of falling short in your efforts. You know what I think about when I read that? I think about how important it is the environment that you surround yourself with, because a lot of people do that. They hold back, they insulate themselves. They're not stepping out and making new things happen. They're not going for a breakthrough. They're pulling back when they should be stepping forward. And if you find yourself caught up in an environment like that, surrounded with people who are thinking like that, I hope you understand that that is going to influence you, and it's going to severely limit how you can step out and create what you want in your life. This is why you must choose your environment very carefully and make sure you surround yourself in an environment of people who are really moving forward in new dimensions. In fact, just after I finish up today's call, I'm going to be getting on a call with my Inner Circle of Excellence clients. It's a small group of individuals who've really committed at a much higher level of investment in themselves and in their business. And I'm going to be working with them for an hour, just a small group of people, really deep diving into their business goals, masterminding on them with them, really taking that big fantasy, and we're going to be really mapping out some effective action plans that they can take to turn that into reality right now. You know, that is an environment where people are choosing a different set of risks. They are not holding back. They're continually tuned to the place and the results that they want to create. In every one of my coaching programs, we're doing this. This is why your environment is so important. So let me keep going here. It's easy to come up with excuses for this behavior. Now, let's just go back, right? And join the dots here for you. So we've just said that by pulling back, by not even attempting to go after what we want, we seem to insulate ourselves to the pain, the discomfort, the embarrassment of falling short on our efforts, right? We don't want anyone to laugh at us. We don't want what anyone else outside of us says, well, you know, who are you to think you could do that, right? So it's easy to come up with excuses for this behavior. Just remember, excuses are the enemy. The excuses for that behavior would be, well, I just can't afford it right now. It's just not the right time. The economy is going backwards. My husband doesn't agree with, or my wife doesn't agree with me moving forward with this business idea or changing careers. It's just not the right time. I've got to look after my kids right now. I've got a mortgage to pay. That is the excuses that we make. This is the behavior that we find ourselves trapped in to insulate us. But when you really get to the underlying belief or paradigm that's playing out, in very rare cases, is that really true? Because in fact, in most cases, when you step out to bet on yourself, you're going to create something better than what's gone before. You're going to put yourself in a better position. I have a client, his name's Shane. A number of weeks ago, he was tossing up whether he would stay working in partnership with the company that he was in, or whether he would step out on his own. And, he went back and forth with the decision for a small period of time, and we discussed it in some of our group coaching calls, and he decided to bet on himself. He decided to step out and go and build his own business in that same industry, and he is flying, absolutely flying. And I said to him in the beginning, I said, you can always measure what you're giving up, but you can never measure what you're going to get. Now, there are a lot of reasons why he should have stayed where he was for the security of that, but what he is now getting on the other side of it, not only the personal and professional growth, but the impact that is going to have on his financial gain, on his family, on the way he can create in the future, and the difference he can make now is astronomical. So he had to choose the risk of betting on himself. So let's talk a little bit more about excuses. Just remember, excuses are the enemy. Excuses are doubts double-crossing you. I love this. It's so good. Acting like your friend, your protector, all the while disempowering you and admonishing you to respect your limits. Get back in your box. Let me say that again. Excuses are doubts double-crossing you. Acting like your friend, that little voice inside your head that then agrees with you, and when you say, no, I probably shouldn't do it, and the voice inside your head says, yeah, no, you shouldn't. Just this is the safer option for you. Your protector, all the while disempowering you and asking you to respect your limits. That's what's really going on. It's your potential that deserves your respect, not your self-doubts. Let me say that again. It's your potential that deserves your respect, not your self-doubts. And you're respecting your self-doubts at the moment. You're not following through on ideas and opportunities and things you would love to do because you're doubting yourself, and you're respecting the doubts rather than the potential right now, with no other resources brought to bear on your situation, on your circumstance. You could still be doing 10 times as well as you're currently doing. Nothing needs to change for you to be doing 10 times as well as you're doing. But you've got to recognize that you are connected with that power and that potential within you. And you have to respect yourself enough to follow through on the goals, the hopes, the dreams, the ideas that you have. Give yourself a chance to prove what you can do. You want to write that down. I'm going to give myself a chance to prove what I can do. Risk believing in yourself instead of running the risk of wasting your fine potential and all the excellent opportunities that present themselves to you. There are opportunities around you right now, in this very second. There are opportunities right now around you. But you've got to risk believing in yourself instead of running the risk of wasting your fine potential and all the excellent opportunities that present themselves to you. I mean, do you really want to be in this same position a month from now, 6 months from now, 12 months from now, 2 years from now? That's the reality for a lot of people. Nothing much does change from year to year because they don't get this. They don't understand it. They don't take the time to invest in themselves. And I implore you not to fall into that category. You might fall into that category. It's all a choice. And it's all your choice. I can't do this for you. I can't make you do this. I can't sit here and sell you on all the reasons why you should. You've got to do that for you. And you've got to respect yourself enough to want to do that for you. And to want to do that for you and your family and your business and your employees and every single person you come in contact with, because they can't get more from you than you have. So as you work on you and you accept a new set of risks, risk betting on yourself, risk turning those dreams in reality, acting on the ideas, having a crack, as we like to say in the bush, having a crack, giving yourself a chance, you're going to grow. There is something new inside of you that's going to come to the surface. And you know who benefits? You in the first instance, your relationships, your children if you have them, your staff, your employees, your community, every single person you come in contact with. The surest way to lose is to not try. The surest way to lose is to not try. If you really want to minimize the risks of not reaching your desires, trying is your only acceptable option. Let me say that again. The surest way to lose is not to try. You got to give it a go. You got to give yourself a chance to turn your goals into reality. You got to see it through. Don't quit. Persistence. Stick with it. Grit. Dig in. If you really want to minimize the risk of not reaching your desires, trying is your only acceptable option. You essentially must go for it. Once again, it's not a choice of whether you'll take a risk. It's a choice of which risk you'll accept. When you choose a different set of risks and go for a quantum leap, right? You open yourself up. That's the risk you're taking. You're opening yourself up. You immediately discover that your personal limits are determined primarily by what you are willing to attempt. I love that. Your personal limits are determined primarily by what you are willing to attempt. What are you willing to go for? What are you willing to try? That's where your personal limits are. So if you're going to go for something really big, then that's where your limits are, at the edge of that reality. If you're going to go for something really small, that's where your limits are, at the edge of that reality. If you're not going to go for anything at all, well, you're limited, full stop. It doesn't matter to me what you do, but it should matter to you how serious you get about what risks you're going to take. Your limits are set by your decisions about where you choose to push or not to push. Remember, I'm just going to go back. I'm going to come back to that. Back to this part here where it says, he says, your excuses are doubts double-crossing you, acting like your friend, your protector, all the while disempowering you and asking you to respect your limits. Right? So hold that in your thought. Your limits are set by your decisions about where you choose to push or not to push. Now, when you go to make those decisions, that little friend of yours that's meant to be the protector, it's going to tell you to hold back. And you need to know that, because that is fact. When you go to push, when you go to bet on yourself, when you go to act on the ideas, the good ideas your mind is feeding you, the guidance you're receiving around the next step to take, this friend, this protector, it's going to have you not push. It's going to have you pull back. And you need to be aware of that. You need to know what is going on. And then you need to come back and you need to hear me. You need to hear me in your consciousness saying, this is when you push forward. If you want it, you go for it. If you can see it, you can have it. Your limits change when you require them to change. And now you require them to change. Because I'm going to guess, if you're still watching this, you're a little like me. You want more in your life. You don't want to just settle. You are not letting circumstances influence you. You're letting your goal influence you, what you really want in your heart. And so therefore, the limits of what you think you can accomplish are going to have to change. Because for you to get better results, for you to push forward and create a quantum leap, you're going to bet on yourself. You're going to have a crack, aren't you? Yes. So you can excuse yourself from pushing, but excuses don't prove anything at all about your true performance limits as a person. So you can back out and not do the thing that you want to do, not go after your goals, not grow. That's all a choice. That's fine. But that doesn't prove anything about what you're really capable of. Nothing. You're just disempowering yourself, which is fine. And that might be exactly what you need to do right now. But know what is going on. That when you pull back, when you listen to that little voice inside your head that talks you out of doing the things that you really want to do, that doesn't prove anything about what you're really capable of. And everyone gets this lesson in their own time. You might have got this lesson today. You might have got this lesson from me yesterday, a week ago, a month ago. And unfortunately, depending on where your growth is at, it might take you another 6 months, another 12 months to get the lesson again. I see plenty of that. I have plenty of people that email me 6 months, 12 months, 2 years after they first had contact with me, and they're like, not a lot's changed. I might need to get a little bit more help. But, all in good time. So here we go. Looking back over your life, which do you regret more? The risks you've taken or risks you've avoided? Our risks of omission usually do us more damage than our risks of commission. When we shy away from a risk, it grows in its ability to bluff us out. We need to call the bluff today and find the edge of reality in the risk. Self-doubts that go unchallenged grow stronger. Challenge them and you grow stronger. Where's the logic in not trying because you might not succeed when in not trying you guarantee failure? I'm just going to read that last paragraph again because I think it's important for you to hear it. Looking back over your life, which do you regret more? Risks you've taken or risks you've avoided? Our risks of omission usually do us more damage than our risks of commission. When we shy away from a risk, it grows in its ability to bluff us out. We need to call the bluff today and find the edge of reality in the risk. Self-doubts that go unchallenged grow stronger. Challenge them and you grow stronger. Where's the logic in not trying because you might not succeed when in not trying you guarantee failure? Which excuses do you need to give up in order to make the quantum leap? So I want you to really reflect on this. Listen to this recording with me a few times over. It really could change your life. Even if you've become very good at doing this, I bet that you can do it to a greater degree. I want to share just a couple of little stories about this last thing. When we shy away from a risk, it grows in our ability to bluff us out. We need to find the edge of reality in the risk. Go for it. Challenge them and grow stronger. I'm going to share 2 stories to you where I really took a big risk. I've taken many big risks and bet on myself, but 2 that come to mind specifically at this very moment, just guided here to share these with you. One was, which you've heard me talk about many times over, was at the end of last year, about the 30th of September, I rolled over to my husband and said, I think we should leave. We should pack up and sell our house. We need to go. And we were living in Brisbane at the time. And I was probably 30 weeks pregnant. We've also got a 2-year-old. We hadn't bought another house. We'd been talking about moving for some time. We really didn't have anything lined up. But what transpired can only be put down to working in harmony with universal law. Now, I've taught this for a long time and I've applied it to my life in many, many different ways. But we were really, there was risk in packing up and leaving and going, but there was more risk to what we could create by staying there. We were limiting ourselves by staying where we were. So we made the decision to pack up and go. And really, really take that next step to move to the next level. Like really, really think and act like the people that we wanted to become. And we were no longer living in an environment that was in harmony with what we wanted. And because I know the science of success so well, and I teach it every single day, I knew what I was doing. And I had the confidence to make those decisions and to keep making the decisions along the way and make the necessary investments to transform our circumstances to a new set of circumstances. Our circumstances were already really good, but I wanted more. And if you're still watching this, I believe that you're a lot like me and you also want more. You want more in your life. You do want to have it all. You want to have great income, great relationships, great health, time with your family. You want to live in a beautiful environment. You really do want to have it all. And a lot of people say that you can't do that. It's impossible, but I'm here to tell you that you can. But you need to learn a few things about how all of this works. And when I was making those decisions and making those transformations at the end of last year, my entire paradigm around my business model, everything that I had been working on at the start of January 2019, I made a committed decision that that year was going to be very, very different. Now, I had been transforming my life and my results year on, year out since I really got focused about working with Bob Proctor and applying what he was teaching me to my life and then teaching that to my clients. But the couple of years prior to 2009, whilst I'd made some really significant paradigm shifts, like multiplying my income in half as much time, I had challenged myself personally around running ultra marathons. We'd bought and renovated a house, lots of things. I really wanted to step it up. And I stepped up last year. But for 6 or 7 months of that year, there was no physical evidence that what I wanted, my C-type goal, was going to manifest. None at all. But I kept showing up every day and applying the science of success to what I was doing every single day. And I kept trusting myself to bet on myself and go for the things that seemed very risky from the outside in, seemed like very, very risky moves. But I knew what I was doing from within, and I quadrupled the size of my company in less than 3 months by doing this, by really understanding how this works, by choosing a different set of risks. I remember another time where I was investing some money in myself, and I was on the other side of the world. We had our first baby was only about 9 or 10 weeks. And I was down to very much the last amount of money in my bank account. I really was, because I've always been one to invest in myself and want to learn and grow. And I was about to make another investment in my own personal development. And we didn't have a lot of money back then. And, everything that I was earning, I was putting back into the business. I was either investing in staff or investing in myself, or investing in my personal development, like training, flying backwards and forwards to study with Bob. And I remember spending the last $2,000 or $3,000, and I think for a couple of days had $0 in my bank account. It wasn't for very long, because I know the law of supply. What goes out must come back in. And if I was working in harmony with the law of cause and effect, like I knew what I was doing, because I understood this process. So I could confidently make those decisions and investments. Even when from the outside in, if anyone else was looking at that situation, they would say you needed to hold on to what you were doing. You were putting you and your family in a very risky position. But because I understood what I was doing, I had the confidence to know I was going to create abundance as a result of that particular decision that I was making. And it only took a couple of days, and, I had money back in the bank account again. But at different times in your life, and I'm not suggesting that you should do that at all. You've got to go to the edge of your growth, your learning and capacity. And that is going to be different for everybody. And it's going to be different for you. What the risks you're willing to take are going to be proportionate to your understanding of you. And the more you understand you will be willing to act on opportunities that seem illogical, because you really understand why you've attracted them, how they fit into the picture of your goal, and what is necessary for you to do to move forward and capitalize on them. So I only share those two stories with you for a couple of reasons. Certainly not to impress you at all, but to impress upon you that we all have to do this to grow. We are always choosing. We're either choosing to push forward or not to push forward, to sit still and sit it out, which is actually impossible, because the law of vibration says that everything moves, nothing rests, and you're either in a state of creation or disintegration. You're either growing proportionately to the images and ideas you're holding in your conscious mind, or you're moving into a disintegration state. When there is no image, no growth can be possible, or no better image, no better growth can be possible, which means you're going to move into a state of disintegration. And you won't notice that happening for a period of time. It'll look like everything's just ticking along tickety-boo. But I guarantee you will start to experience disintegration in your results. You'll start to see your sales drop, your income drop probably your wellness, how happy you are. All of that starts to disintegrate when we're not in a creation state. So everything is a choice. Everything is a choice. And you're making those choices day by day in every way. It is not possible to sit still and try to just hold steady for a bit. You've got to stay in a creation state if you want things to improve. And that might mean you need to choose a few different risks at the moment. Risk betting on yourself and risk stepping out and acting on an opportunity or an idea, or something that you've been thinking about for a while that you've been like, I couldn't possibly do that. Well, why not? Question it. What does he say right at the end? He said, self-doubts that go unchallenged grow stronger. What evidence do you have to suggest that it won't work for you? What evidence do you have to suggest that it will work for you? In my little Facebook video that I did yesterday, it was just a really casual Facebook Live, but I spoke about really looking at the last 30 days that you've had and really looking at the good in it and what really worked well for you and what you did really well, and then amplifying that in the next 30 days. Right? So why do I bring that up? Self-doubts that go unchallenged grow stronger. What evidence do you have that would suggest that you can't be successful doing what you want to do, or that it won't work out for you? You've got to challenge those excuses and those beliefs that you are that are guiding you at the moment, because if you don't, they're going to grow stronger and they paralyze you further and further and further away from what you really want. So challenge them and you grow stronger. You see what you're capable of. And that's the awesome thing about it. Like every day when I see someone new coming and joining my coaching, and for some it's been a really easy decision and they've just acted on it and got started, and for others it's been a much more of a challenging decision for them to step out and bet on themselves at whatever level, whether they're coming in at a lower level, at a higher level. That really is irrelevant, because that is all relative to self-image anyway. It's really got nothing to do with the money. But for some people, it's really easy to make those decisions and make those investments. And for others, it's not as easy. It takes a little bit more courage and a little bit more bravery. And they do have to really challenge those self-doubts, those personal limitations that they've had to, that have been holding them back in the past. And I get such a thrill out of seeing that individual step through when I know the story. I mean, I don't always know the story, because sometimes they ended up just enrolling, and the first time I meet them is when they're on a coaching call with me or when they're in the group coaching. But in some cases I hear about these stories because either my coaching team are telling me, or I personally know the person. For all different reasons, I will get wind that it's been a really big decision for this particular individual to step through and join the coaching. And it's such a thrill and such an honor to witness the transformation in that individual in that very moment when they step forward. Because in that very moment that they step forward, everything has changed for them. That actually the growth that they needed to do happened in the second that they made the decision to bet on themselves, because they chose at that second a different set of risks for themselves, which is exactly what he's talking about here. Anyway, I think we'll leave it there. So I hope this has been valuable and useful for you today to really think about it. If I can help you in any way, please reach out and get in touch. support@karenbrook.com.au is the email address that you'll get me on. So you have a beautiful day. Thank you for being here. Thanks for having a cup of tea with me. You probably drank more tea than I did today, but I really want you to dig into this lesson that I've shared today. Listen to it a number of times. Share it with somebody who you know needs to step out and bet on themselves, and support each other to do that. All right, take care. Bye.